Hello, friends. Robert Pepin here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is Warlock Wednesday, and we will be talking about the Eldritch Invocation, Eldritch Spear.
We both did this a spear pose to some degree. You love to see it, which is not really what this is.
No,
This is more like Eldritch longbow. Well, Eldritch half long range longbow with no disadvantage, but that's kind of wordy. So I get why they didn't name it that.
Eldritch Harpoon.
Sure. This is a really simple Eldritch invocation. Warlocks can take it at any level. As long as you get the Eldritch Blast cantrip, you're good to go. It says when you cast Eldritch Blast, its range is 300 feet. And that's all it does. And that's not enough. So we can either talk about why it's bad, or live, you and I can come together and see how far we can shoot an Eldritch Blast. It's probably not that much further, but it's probably around like 1,200 feet. Yeah, you can.
All right, I was thinking, combine it with Spell Sniper, that gets you 600.
Yeah, and then
What
you
else are
combine
you
it with
doing?
Meta Magic Extend Spell, and that gets you
Ah,
1,200. Oh, we've done it.
all right. Well,
And that was the video.
no, I will agree. You don't need 1,200 feet, but I don't think 300 feet is bad. Because I'm thinking you take this or Spell Sniper. Spell Sniper's probably enough. But go on.
Okay,
Why do you not like this?
Bob, you like to play rogues, right?
Sure.
Do you shoot a short bow with rogues? With your rogue, most do.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you remember the amount of times you've made an attack roll with disadvantage with your short bow?
No.
Guess what the range on a short bow is, Bob?
I forgot. But
It's 80 over 320.
Yeah.
So with your rogue, we're looking at anything within 80 feet being most of your shots, right?
Sure.
Would you take a feature that only doubled the range of your short bow, knowing that you can't remember times it's in giving you more attacks without disadvantage?
Unless I was multi-classing, no.
Yeah.
Here's why I think this isn't so bad. You can't, most battles, the battle maps are pretty small. This isn't going to come into play unless you do something like, all right, well, I'm going to Dimension Door way the hell over there and attack, after the battle begins or some other teleportation thing. And I'm going to attack from a distance because I've got 8 hit points left and my armor class sucks. Or I'm just a coward and this is how I like to play.
So, okay. There are some issues I have with that mentality. And the first issue that I have with that mentality is even those environments, those battle maps that exist, typically have to be overworld, huge distance. We're talking like the Lord of the Rings when they're trekking over, like, how Lord of the Rings is often joked about being this is a movie about 90% walking from point A to point B. It's that environment, right? It's the overland marshes that you're just traveling ad nauseum, functionally infinite distance is what it feels like. That is the battle map where that strategy can be effective. In that scenario, what is enough distance? Is
whatever puts you out of range of other people's stuff.
So longbows have a range of 120 over 600, which means they can attack if you with disadvantage at a range of 600 feet. So with Eldritch Spear, in that exact niche circumstance, where you are building to play the hit and run skirmisher, which has a whole other host of problems based off of other party composition, how the DM is going to plan to challenge their players. But if you are attempting that fantasy of being the I'm always as far away as possible shooting things from max distance, things with longbows still can hit you. And that's going to be a relatively common enemy type. They're attacking you at disadvantage, granted. But in the environment that you've painted the picture of, I don't even know if that's that good whenever you could still just be Eldritch blasting and moving. Like, imposing disadvantage on longbow shots doesn't seem better to me than just firing off a barrage of Eldritch Blast from 120 feet out instead. Like, the extra 180 feet I don't see being that meaningful of a difference in the best possible case scenario, which is you are doing the kiting thing over the infinite grid distance in the White Room. Realistically, what's going to happen instead is you're going to have martial characters in your party that want to be up in the thick of things. You're going to have a barbarian, you're going to have a paladin, you're going to have a monk, you're going to have a rogue that wants to sneak attack in combat. And your DM's going to put you in environments that let them do that let them go over and approach monsters and attack them and hit them in melee range. that means the range in the room, the range scope of the room is going to be much smaller, because otherwise they can't play the game. Because the enemy backline is just a whole bunch of people with longbows shooting things from a maximum distance and cutting backwards, and those characters just die by getting shot down over a long distance. What ends up happening is you get environments that are complex, that have places to hide, that have, all kinds of different versions of cover, that have different environments to attack out of, different layers, different floors you can go up and down in. And the 300 feet starts to feel like there just aren't real windows where you're able to actually shoot that distance and have it make a difference. And I think that's the vast majority of encounters. I'd go to say 99% of encounters will not have enough distance to actually functionally let you shoot the distance you're getting out of Eldritch Spear.
I think 99% may be a bit high.
I don't.
No?
Truthfully, I can't tell you the last time that I have had an encounter built where someone would be able to cleanly shoot 300 feet. There will always be something in the way. There will always be some kind of... the basics of trees make this a huge problem, right? And that's without structures. That's just in the woods. And this no longer functions. If you're in a town, there's no way this works. If you're in a city, there's no way this works. If you're in a dungeon, there's no way this works. If you're in an overland trekking Arctic wasteland, all right, we found the 1%.
Or any kind of desert or giant meadow.
So even deserts have huge dunes. Any kinds of elevation changes make it harder too. If you're ever at a dip, you have to be at the peaks to always get the firing. And if you're at the peaks, that's like, you have to be probably holding down the fort and not the aggressor, because if you're aggressing, or if you're the aggressor going into Arctic environments, if you're the aggressor going to desert environments, high ground's really important. And I imagine the things that live there and defend it probably know that.
Now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Well, all right. All right, you've made a point there. I'm still not sure about the 99%.
Fair.
But
it might be hyperbolic, but it's a lot.
Yeah, all right. But in instances where this can be used, I also think it's good for maintaining concentration. You've got your concentration spell going, and you're doing something in the meantime. Blast, blast, blast. And longbows still can hit you, but there are other threats in these people's faces.
Okay, once again, that for it to be good for concentration, you have to be getting an advantage out of the distance, right? You have to be saying, I am getting more than the 120-foot shot that I'm normally taking regularly. Do you think that's happening? Because I don't.
Wait,
I don't think you're regularly shooting. Here. So if you are taking this invocation, you need to be shooting for beyond 120 feet for it to do anything, right? Otherwise, this doesn't. All right,
we're going back to your argument before then.
Yeah, and I'm saying that if you're maintaining concentration on it for that reason, because you're trying to get more space so less things hit you, I'm still saying that is a moot point because it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if you want to defend your concentration, what if you took like Eldritch Mind or whatever the Eldritch one is that gives you advantage on your Constitution, saving throws to maintain concentration? That always does something.
That's an option. All right. What I was saying though, the concentration was another aspect of this that I like. If you can use this, if in the cases where
in the 1%.
All right. Yes.
All right. Okay.
All right. That was my point.
Sure.
And if you do find a way to make this usable, then I think that's arguably better than the whatever the one with the concentration thing is. Eldritch. What was it?
Eldritch. It's either Eldritch Mind or it's definitely Eldritch Mind, because Eldritch Sight is the one that can do magic. So let's put ourselves in a situation where this is good. Let's put ourselves in a situation where we're in the desert, where it's we have the high ground, we're fending off an army of bullets, and we're concentrating on a spell. I'm curious as to when the bullets are getting in range to hit you in this circumstance. When is the 300 feet actually defending your concentration where 120 wouldn't also? Where is the range increment mattering that much? Is it only against creatures with longbows and creatures that have long-range weaponry, and it gives you a little bit more reach to hit those in a couple of rounds? Are you getting an extra round out of this?
I was thinking
round of concentration?
I was thinking more like fast creatures that can get to you easier.
Sure, this gives you an extra round against fast creatures with like a really high run speed. Sure, a really fast fly speed. Sure, this gives you the ability to hit them once or twice. In your
But
coveted,
then you're out there alone against this thing.
yeah. In the world where you're taking an Eldritch Invocation that, again, ignores the entire rest of your party composition, because we're talking about in a vacuum in the best case scenarios, which I already have stated prior, I don't think exists that much. In those exact scenarios, do you prefer this over most other invocations that empower your character in a variety of ways? Do you prefer this over ways to empower your Pact Boon? Do you improve you never take this over Agonizing Blast, which is your damage bump, right? You never take this over ways to do more damage or more things. I don't think.
I don't know. I'm not going to commit to that right now. I might take it over Agonizing Blast just because if I can get it to work, I'd rather, kill them eventually, but hit them more times because that's fun.
So 180 feet is 3 dashes, right, on a 30-foot character. So this is hypothetically 3 extra rounds of hits at its best case scenario, which sounds great.
And 3 turns where that enemy isn't doing anything.
Where it's dashing at you. That means we're in a situation where the enemy's committed to fight you and is just sprinting directly into the front line. This is a situation where you know the enemy's got a machine gun, and you're like, yep, great. Troops across the no man's land you go, and they just charge to their death. Do you foresee that being a real encounter in D&D?
No, and I think that's part of what makes this good. They're not going to do that. So because you're so far away, that's discouraging them from coming at you.
Here's another point we could try and take. Another direction to aim this at. We talked at length about why I don't think defensive spells that hold a position are particularly good. Things like Harrow, for example. Things like Glyph of Warding, where there is potential for really powerful things to happen, but they require enemies coming to you. And we normally say these are really niche. You're going to get 1 or 2 encounters a game where this is going to be good. I think Eldritch Spear shines in that exact environment where you're like, we have the Watchtower, we are holding it from the incoming slew of demons. This gives you an extra 3 turns to hit some of the demons that are coming through this way. I don't know if that one encounter that you're having throughout the entire duration of the campaign that you would normally just prepare a spell for, that you normally would just take this one spell, learn it, forget it next level, and use it for the tower defense mission. I don't think that justifies this invocation. Maybe you switch it for this event, but you definitely aren't taking it for the full duration of your campaign.
No. What I said at the beginning, this is not a Glyph of Warding. This is you take this on a character you build to make your own tower defense. The encounter starts normal, but then you somehow, depending on how you aim to do this, first round you get the hell out of there, and that's why this works. If and when it works.
So we're committing to wasting rounds, getting to a different location.
Yes.
So we can make the opponents waste rounds.
Yes.
And calling that a fun gameplay experience.
It's thrilling to me.
And again, this is agnostic of context of the rest of your party wanting to fight the stuff, right? They'll see the Warlock go, okay, great. I'm going to just sprint the other direction for 3 rounds. You all have fun.
No. I'm talking about teleporting somehow.
Somehow.
Or
such as...
I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, a dimension door was my example I opened with.
I think if you can fly 120 feet in the air, that's as good as flying 300 feet in the air for the encounters where it's going to matter. I don't think... I think we might be as far apart as we can be when it comes to how we'd rate this invocation. And I think it's crazy. This thing is... I would go as far to say Eldritch Spear is unusably bad. I think that it doesn't empower your character in any meaningful way in 95% plus. I really would think 99% of encounters. I can think of, again, none that I have run and none that I have played in where the difference between 120 and 300 feet has ever mattered. And that's why I think this is completely and utterly unusable. Invocations are so critical to your Warlock's play pattern. They are so critical to defining what it is your character is able to do. You cannot waste them. And this just doesn't do anything. If you are ever in a circumstance where you're within 120 feet of something, this is literally textless, and that is the vast majority of cases.
I agree with you. This isn't for every Warlock.
This isn't for any Warlock.
I disagree with that. You know what? I might even give you the 99%. I'm going to say this is for the 1%
1% of Warlocks
that build specifically to use this.
Sure. I think this is the kind of character that you build to say, how fast can we make the monk go? I think this is the kind of character you build to say, how many Eldritch Blasts can a single character physically produce in a single round? I think those are fun characters to theorize. I think it's fun to be like, how far can we push the range of Eldritch Spear? And in the comments, if there's like, I'm sure the internet's figured it out, what the actual maximum distance you can shoot an Eldritch Blast is. I'd love to hear it. But I have a hunch that is the only real home for it, is in the theory crafting of, oh, wow, we can shoot a quarter of a mile or 3 miles or to the sun, right? Whatever the ridiculous number ballooning that happens in 5th edition ends up being. That's the kind of scope that I think Eldritch Spear has a home in, and really nowhere else.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one. I mean, but not by much. You're going with utterly completely useless. I'm going with almost utterly and completely useless.
All right, fair enough. I guess that was just too much for me to consider. Like, no. It's not almost utterly useless. It is utterly useless.
But I don't know. I like it, and I'm probably never going to take it. But yeah.
I will like to say, commenters down below, maybe you've had a very different experience with this than I have. Maybe you play at tables with more big wide open spaces than I do. If you have gotten mileage out of it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to actually hear moments where you can note, oh, this gave me an extra 2-3 rounds of attacks multiple times a campaign. And then I'm like, okay, now we're talking about a feature that's still worth an agonizing blast. What are we looking at, like, range-wise? Is this usable at that 1% of tables? Maybe. I'd be curious to know. I'd love to hear people that like think it's an integral part of my build, and I have to have it on every character I play. I'd love to hear those thoughts too. I don't know if these people exist.
Too.
I don't think they do, but you know.
I think we've been surprised on this channel before.
That's fair. There are a lot of defense lovers out there, and I can't fathom that.
All right, I for one am looking forward to the comments. So fire away, listeners.
Yeah, if you didn't get it by my tone, this is a 1 out of 5. Unusable garbage. You can't afford to put this Invocation on your sheet ever.
Yeah, I'm not going to go as high as a 3, but I'll give it a 2. I think every now and again. And again, like if you're specifically building for this,
Sure.
Otherwise probably not very useful.
If your objective is to build your own sharpshooter over 6 different steps.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's a 2 for me, general. And that's it. That was Eldritch Spear. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.